morning, CSA. It's a good thing to be home. You know, I traveled the country speaking, talking, but it's always good to come home. And it's good to come home on this day, this Memorial Day weekend, this time that we honor those who gave their lives for our freedom. That's what Memorial Day weekend is all about. But it's also the beginning of summer. It's also a season of shifting and growing. You know, it's the season of graduations, it's the season of weddings, it's the season of just pure joy. It's a season of change is what it is. Now, the spiritual principle that I'm working with today is heaven. Heaven. You know, we believe that heaven is within us and we can experience it to the degree that we are conscious of it. Heaven, we can have it right here, or we can have it right now. So today I just want you to take a moment to reflect and give thanks for all the good that's going on right now. Can I get an amen? It's good. So now we get ready to do New Thought 2.0. Y'all got the basics down. We know how to create the life that we want, and sometimes we get the life that we want, right? But I told you that if you read anything I said, I want to talk about when your yes is a mess. So this is what I want to do. I want to put out the worst scenario I can put out for you. And I'm just hoping and praying and knowing that it's not going to be as bad for any of you as it is in this song that I discovered. I was looking for one thing and I found another. It happens that way sometimes. I found this song by a woman named Laura Watkins, and the song was Mama, I Made It. And some of your esteemed ministers here told me I could not ask the choir to sing it. It's a country song. I said, well, now I'm going to quote it. I'm going to tell y'all, here's the worst scenario. Singer-songwriter Laura Watkins in this song, Mama, I Made It. I'll give you the first verse and the refrain. And do yourself a favor, have a little fun, and listen to it later. She say, I've been sitting on the porch since 10 past 3 a.m., and I don't want to see what's waiting when I walk back in. Mama, I took his Babe Ruth baseball bat, and I put it through the drywall. And a couple of years worth of picture frames, glasses up and down our hall. Oh, Mama, I pushed a grown man to his limit. I aimed for a nerve, and if I didn't hit it, that's edited. Ain't no point debating where the blame is. The makers made a mark, tore a twister through this trailer park, and he sure made my goodbye grapevine famous. Oh, this is a train wreck. It's such a mess. And Mama, I made it. Now, she goes on to lament later that maybe she should have called her mama before she had this outburst of emotion. But I like the fact that she took full responsibility for her actions. You know, we don't know what came before this moment, and we don't know what came after this moment. But the person in the song was sitting in a very messy yes. And she was singing about the yes of an unforgettable goodbye, the exit to a relationship. Now, I hope that nobody here has as messy a yes as the one sung in this country song. But I'm not condoning this behavior. But some messes are made when a person does have that explosion of emotions. But what I want you to know that no matter how messy your yes is, and Lord knows I've been through some messy yeses, God is working with you in it. God is working through you. God is working as you. And believe it or not, Heaven can be right there with you sitting in that mess. It's available to you right now. Now, we come from a philosophy that a lot of people associate with get more, 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 more. But sometimes all of us, must stop. We got to say thank you. Thank you for all of our answered prayers, all of our yeses that are in our lives. You know, I asked for a car, I got a car. I asked for a job, I got a job. I asked for peace of mind, and I got it. It's a season, like I said before, graduations, of weddings, of retirements. You asked for that relationship, you got it. You asked and worked for that retirement, you got it. You got it. The universe says yes. The universe answers prayers. But first you have to ask. Now, not a begging or a beseeching type of an ask, but in a declarative and in an expectant way. What is it that you need? Ask and know that it is yours. Now, I know somebody out there saying, well, Reverend Mignonne, I asked and I didn't get the job. I asked and I didn't get the car. And my mind is racing like it's on the Indy 500 and peace is what it's chasing. So I say to you, be still, baby. Be still. Have faith and let go. Today, I just want to offer you some lessons that I have learned about getting to your yes, keeping your yes, and about a little bit of heaven right here and right now. So as you and I grow in this new thought tradition, we will see things will start to just slowly come to us. Sometimes they come to us in a deluge, and sometimes they come to us, slowly. But as you practice these principles, be sure that answered prayer demonstrations will unfold in your life. Is there anybody out there that can testify to this? Demonstrations are unfolding in your life. But, so it says yes, right? Everything is good, right? That's New Thought 1.0. If you're like me, I got my yes. Woo, but I've been bumping up against it. I asked the universe for this, and the universe said yes, and I said, are you serious, God, for real? I got what I asked for, but here's what happened. All the conditions around that thing changed. Yes, I got what I asked, but it wasn't what I signed up for. It didn't come out the way I thought it would. I started out on a journey towards my goal, and then there were all different people in the places. It was like a giant chessboard, and all the pieces were moved around. And I didn't know what game I was playing. I got it, but what am I supposed to do with it? Has it ever happened to you that you got something you thought you wanted, something you asked for, but everything changed around you? You're walking into one situation, but you got another one. Well, I tell you, how do you get heaven out of what feels like chaos? This is where it starts. You got it. God said yes. And now is the test. We have to believe in the goodness of God. You helped co-create that scenario. You got that thing you wanted. And you have to know that God wouldn't put you somewhere or in a circumstance that is not growing you. You must lean in and trust God. The divine energy, if it is not what you thought it should be, if everything is not what you thought it should be, then be still and know. Know that if you ask, if you declare expectantly that God can surely work it out. Now, what are we asking for? We're asking for another demonstration. If God did it once, he'll do it again. So this is, this happened to Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes was working on a demonstration, and it got to a moment, and he didn't know how to demonstrate that. And I like this because, you see, that means everybody. might have a little trouble with this second demonstration, even our founder, Ernest Holmes. So on Love and Law, in the book Love and Law, on page 47, I want to show you what happened with our founder when he got to a place and he needed to demonstrate something big. How did he himself handle it? So this is what he says. It says, demonstrating from an invisible principle. What are we doing? Demonstrating from an invisible principle. A couple of months ago, he says, I was seeking to make a demonstration, which in a certain way was quite important for myself, a thing which seemed quite necessary, quite a necessary thing to have. And I struggled quite a bit, a thing I do not do often. Then he puts in parentheses, learn to never put anybody on a pedestal, because if you put them high enough, you'll invariably see that their feet are made of clay. And then he gets back to the point. I did struggle considerably with my thought, trying to work it out myself. And then I said, I'm all wrong here. If there's a power working this out for me, then I have to prove my absolute reliance upon it. I have to let it alone. And so I went about and thought no more about it. And today, in the most unaccountable way, that thing was made possible. Something that would have never entered my consciousness in 1,000 years. And it shows that if we dare and learn to place implicit trust, there is something which honors that faith which we have, which we give it. There's something which honors the faith which we give it, demonstrating from an invisible principle. Ernest Holmes wants you to know that there is something that is greater than you are. That is an infinite intelligence that you can lean upon and that is leaning towards the good. Even seeing Ernest Holmes struggle with this, sometimes you know these things, but you have to hear it from, I'm going to call an earth angel. You know, I've been practicing science of mind consciously, for over 20 years. But even so, sometimes I fall back into that cocoon of victimhood, where you just want to tell somebody that you're suffering and it's unfair. And gosh darn, this one or that one ain't right. See, I was swimming in a sea of change. Change was to the left of me, change was to the right of me, and I felt like I was being swept up by the currents. I was being pulled by the undertow, because change can feel like a mess. Things aren't going as you expect them to. And the yes is not looking like you thought it would look. But Spirit, God, Creator, has a sense of humor. Let me tell you, I went to an old colleague, someone who'd been in the position that I was in, someone who does not know me in a ministerial capacity. This colleague would listen to me, blaming, crying, pleading. You know, not very new thought. And I thought they would understand. And they did. I called them up. This colleague listened, didn't say much, took a deep breath, and said to me, Dr. Reverend Mignonne Pollard, she said to me, no, she didn't use my name, but this is what she said. She said, I wish I could imitate her voice. She said, pray, Mignonne, pray about the situation, trust in God, and look for the good. I said, that's not what I want to hear right now. What I want to hear right now is they bad. All of them are bad, and I am good. But this person told me all the things I would tell somebody if they came to me. She told me the exact same thing. So, because sometimes we forget. Sometimes I forget. I can only speak for myself. Sometimes I forget that there is only one. There is one mind. There is one God, and God is showing out. You know, I hung up the phone and I had to laugh out loud because in the midst of the storm, I forgot who God was. Who? God is greater than any circumstance or any situation. God is right there where you are, and you can lose sight of the light. So this colleague, this earth angel, she reminded me the Spirit is always working for the good of it all, that there is only one. And so now I can remind you and tell myself again to remember there's only one God, and that God has power over all circumstances, regardless of appearance. And that when you are living your yes, but it's feeling like a mess, when you are living it, it's not a mess. God put you right where you need to be. And in the midst of it, if you just be still and listen to those whispers, you know, in this situation, I just had to do what she said. I had to go into the prayer closet with a firm visualization of who I am and what I want to be in this situation, and to believe that only good is happening no matter what the circumstances. I had to suit up and show up and be my best and know that God is making a way. Like Ernest Holmes, a way out of no way, a way in which my mind cannot conceive, a way which will be made, even if it's made for me, it's made for you, because the law works. It works for everyone. It works all the time. It is no respecter of persons. We have to lean in on the law. And some people might say that's leaning in on the Lord. They might say that. Now, second, and I know I said this before, but I'm just going to keep saying it, we have to remember that whatever situation we're in, whatever the conditions look like around us, there's only one mind. There's only one mind, and it is good. And Ernest Holmes said in this book of Love and Law, he said it reminds us on page 180 that there's only one mind. And what he says is, somebody asked him, he said, we are one with the infinite mind. And he said, no, baby, no. Well, he didn't say no, baby, but he said, in my mind, he said, no, baby, no. He said, we are surrounded by infinite mind. And we are in infinite mind. Infinite mind is in, around, and through us. But when you use that word, we are one with, it says some type of separation. It's very, very parsing. It's like we're parsing it, right? But it's not one with. It is one through and one as, okay? It is one through and one as. That there is a substance, a mind-like substance that is all around us, and that our thoughts make an impress into that invisible, energetic field, and it helps us to move forward. That there is no separation. It's something to remember, that the power is within us. You know, I've seen somebody walk right up to their yes. It's just hanging there. It's waiting for them to take it. But they won't meet it. You know, other people can see it. You've been there. You can see it. You can say, oh, that person could do that. But when your yes is a mess, if you don't reach out for and take what's already been given to you, I'm just going to ask you, it's right there in front of you. Why do you doubt yourself when God does not doubt you? Walk up and take it. Enjoy it. Your yes will meet you right where you are. Just be open to it. Be open to life. Be open to sharing the gifts that God has given you. Thank you, Reverend Jerry. I'm calling her Reverend Jerry because she is Reverend Jerry. Thank you for your meditation about the gifts. If you found out what your gifts, walk up and take those gifts. God only wants the good. And when your yes is a mess, remember that you are God, and you are God, the hands, the feet, the mouth, the voice of God. And God is expressing as you and through you. Now, I would be remiss if I did not introduce you to a passage that Reverend Deborah Johnson wrote in her book, The Sacred Yes. Now, you all might know Reverend Deborah Johnson. She's a mystic. She started CSL in Santa Cruz. And she wrote a book, The Sacred Yes. And it's a conversation, a private conversation, a very private conversation she let us in on. A conversation between her and Spirit, channeled between her and Spirit and given to the world. So this is what I don't know who I'm talking to, but this is what Spirit was saying. Spirit was saying to her and using me to say to you, this is Spirit, what could I possibly want for you that is not for your own good? All right? Now I'm going to quote this part of her book. What could I possibly want for you that is not for your own good? What plan could I possibly have in mind that is not going to make you win along with everyone else? What could I possibly consent to coming from my nudging and my whisper that would not make your life so much greater an experience than it is now? What is it that you have to know ahead of time before you understand the answers to these questions that I have just posed? How much do you need to see to believe that I am in your corner? Now, I say these things to shake you up a bit, to get you off the dime, as it were. But they're nothing to be afraid of. The irony is that when you do not say yes to my plans unequivocally, without reservation or hesitation, or once again, you set yourself up for circumstances and things to happen that are not to your liking or that are not to your best interest at heart. If you don't say yes to my plans, whose plans are you saying yes to? If you're not trusting me to protect you, are you just walking around the world feeling like a humongous target for anybody and anything? Because this is what Spirit is saying to you and to me and to Reverend Deborah. Spirit says, you are me and I am you. I live in you and you live in me. Understand what I just said. You move in my world. You speak with my voice. You think with my mind. You love with my heart. You act with my creativity. You stand on my ground. And you should know that it is just as much yours as it is mine, because there is no separation here. And when you understand what you have and what you use is mine, then you will know there is no reason in this world for me to do anything against myself. Not only is it illogical, but it is also impossible. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. That's Reverend Deborah Johnson. And the point she's making here is that God, the divine intelligence, there's no separation between that and you, and that your yes is put in front of you to thrive, that God does not work against itself. It only works towards good, your good. And when you're living in the fullness of your yes, when everything around you shifts, when everything around you changes, Spirit has your back. And it's hard to believe sometimes, but it's true. You know, I found another demonstration in Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes. Let me just read what it says. So, The Year of Yes, How to Dance It Out, Stand in the Sun, and Be Your Own Person. Now, I love Shonda Rhimes for many reasons, mostly because we share the same birthday. It's the right day. She's born on the right day. But Shonda Rhimes, her sister told her, she said, you don't make time for your family. Well, she didn't say it like that. But she said, you don't say yes to anything. When I read it, I got, you don't make time for your family. You don't make time for anybody or anything. You always say no. You always cut yourself off from opportunities. And when we begin to say yes, when we begin to listen to those nudges, our life unfolds in amazing ways. Now, Shonda Rhimes said yes. Again, remember, right now it's the season of graduations, weddings, and all kinds of ceremonies. But Shonda Rhimes was asked by the president of Dartmouth to give a speech, a commencement speech in front of 10,000 people. And I love her hesitancy. I'm just going to share a few of her words that she had around it. had around this speech. And this was the first yes that she ever said. She said, a week later, the phone rings in my Shonda office. President Hamlin for Dartmouth College is calling. College presidents do not make it a habit to telephone me. I've met with President Hamlin, a nice man, exactly once. Nevertheless, here he is, President Hamlin of Dartmouth, on the phone calling, and he has a question. He wants to know if I will give the commencement speech at the college graduation in June, a 20-minute speech in front of 10,000 people. Universe, are you kidding me? There's an actual full minute that occurs on the phone call in which no air moves in and out of my lungs. President Hamlin may or may not be speaking. I do not know because the roar in my ears is making it impossible for me to hear. Say yes to everything for a year. That's it. It's happening. And now here it is. Saying yes stops being just a vague idea. Now the reality of what I'm embarking upon sends my brains thundering around in my skull. Say yes. There is no way to plan. There is no way to hide. There's no way to control this. Not that I'm saying yes to everything. Am I saying yes to everything? Yes to everything is scary. Yes to everything that takes me out of my comfort zone. Yes to everything that makes me feel a little crazy. Yes to everything that makes it feel a little out of character. Yes to everything that makes me feel goofy. Yes to everything, everything. Say yes, yes, speak, speak, now. Yes, I say, yes. And President Hamlin and I chat a little bit more. He thinks I'm calm, but he has really no idea. I'm focused on breathing in and out and lowering the roar in my ears. But when I hang up the phone, I consider what I've done. A speech, commencement, 10,000 people. I put the date on my calendar, June 8th, 2014. June, it's about 6 months away. 6 months is pretty off. 6 months is a lifetime. Okay, I shrug. I go back to writing my Grey's Anatomy scripts. Relieved, no big deal. I'll think about it later. I file it away in the back of my brain, and I forget about it. I forget about it for 5.5 months. You'd think it would be bad, given the giant speech I had to write, but instead it turns out to be lucky. It turns out that I had other hurdles. The Dartmouth commencement speech is technically my first yes. Really, though, the Dartmouth commencement speech is the first thing I say yes to, but it's not the first thing that I actually have to do. That's a different yes, and that yes turned out to be much more terrifying. Hello, Jimmy Kimmel. That's Shonda. Shonda, throughout this whole book, lets us know she's a director, she's a writer. She's not someone who stands up in front of people and gives speeches. That's not who she is. That's not her talent. That's not her gift. Her gift, her talent is this idea of being behind the scenes. But she agreed to do that commencement speech. It was her first yes. And this is what I want to let you know, is that spirit prepared her through those 6 months, through a series of opportunities to gather up her courage, to prepare her for her courage to speak authentically at this commencement and for this commencement speech. So in those 6 months, she spoke enough, had enough experiences that were presented to her as she said yes, that prepared her so that when that speech came, she was ready. Now, I listened to that speech, and it's not a speech I would give. But I'm not Shonda Rhimes. It was her mess, and it was hers alone. And my yes is my mess alone. And your yes is your yes and your mess alone. And that's what's so beautiful about Spirit. Each of our messes are different. That's the beauty of Spirit. We each have our own spiritual journey. And you know what? I'm about to close, but I thought to myself, you ain't say nothing about the Bible. So if you need a biblical reference, I'm going to give it to you. All right, Mary. I'm starting with Mary. Mary, the mother of Jesus, from outside appearances, if you happen to be in that little town outside of Bethlehem without knowing the whole story and the purpose and what the ending looks like, I'm sorry. But her 9 months pregnant on a donkey riding to Bethlehem, that looked like a mess. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son, his only son. He finally had a son. But first, they got into a mess. Him and his wife, Sarah, tried to help out God. You know when we try to help out God? They tried to help out God. So they had a son with somebody else. That's a mess. Daniel. All Daniel did was stand on his principles. All Daniel did was say, I serve the one true God. Daniel's standing up for what he believed. Daniel is standing in it, right? He is saying, yes. I was going to say his behind got thrown in the lion's den. That's a mess. Everybody say yes to God. It sometimes looks like a mess, but God has a plan and God has a lesson, and we wouldn't even be saying these stories about these messes if there wasn't something we could learn from them, right? So, amen. So we heed the call of Spirit, right? So when your yes is a mess, knowing that you're going, know from me that when your yes is a mess, you're going through a period of spiritual growth. And we're in a process of becoming. We're becoming more of who we truly are. Your mess could be your test, which leads to your testimony, right? But the bottom line is, when your yes is a mess, it's time to recess. Be still and know. Get clear about what it is you want to ask. Declare. Use affirmative prayer. Use the tools that we learn. Trust in the divine. You can create a way. You can help. And you can know that a way will be created out of no way. So if you're feeling like your yes is a mess, know that you're not in this situation alone, that you will grow spiritually, and no matter where you find yourself, you're right where you need to be. Just trust in the law. Trust in the fact that there's only one God, there's only one mind, and trust that God is preparing you. God is growing you up. So know you're right where you need to be, and that you'll make it to the other side, that God doesn't let you down. Spirit opens you up to life, to a greater and greater good. I promise you that. Hold on to that promise. I hold on to the promise of the law. Now I'm going to tell you like Carolyn Louise James would tell me, that's my late mother. Now, she probably had a glass of Maker's Mark in her hand when she was saying this. But she would say, hold on, baby. Just hold on. Hold on. Let's take this message into prayer. I know that there is only one mind. I know there is only one Spirit, one infinite wisdom that is guiding, leading, and moving each and every one of us to our highest and best good, that this infinite Spirit is working in and around and through us as our lives, in our lives. And I just speak my word. I speak my word that there is no place where God is not. God is right in the center of that perceived mess, and knowing that it is not a mess. It is just a growth period. It is just a period of change. And I'm so grateful and thankful that God is always there. Grateful and thankful that God shows up as earth angels to remind us of the greatness of God. Grateful and thankful for each and every person here. Grateful and thankful for each and every mess that I have grown through, that you have grown through, knowing that there is peace, there is love, there is joy, there is heaven right here on earth. I know that to be true. And I release this word into the law, and together we say, so.